for my next presenter. I introduce to you one that I met before he even had any gray hair in his head. Amen. Brother Ryan Ray has been helping people to find their financial independence for years. He has begun organizations that help entrepreneurs. He is helping the young black entrepreneur in Raleigh, North Carolina since 2020. He's been offering programs since 2015 to help our families take the positions that they deserve in the world, to leave a legacy unto their children's children. So often we are working to pay the bills, but how about working to get your kingdom ready? Yes. To leave your legacy to your children's children. I present to some and introduce to others, Brother Ryan Ray. Woo woo! He only got a couple of gray hairs in there, but I spot him. I spot him. He's a grown up now.
Let's give Lisa a big round of applause. As well as Brian and Lisa for having the vision for this Young Black Summit. So I want to have Lisa play a video when she gets everything queued up. But I'm excited, honored to be here again amongst greatness. And while she's queuing that up, I'm going to hold my word, because when I get out the way, I want to make sure the other presenters are ready. And so I'm going to challenge you, as Brian has already done, to let's fill up these first 3 rows. Can we do that? Mm-hmm. Yep, I know.
Make me all move. I'm comfortable.
We're about to get real uncomfortable. We're about to get real uncomfortable. How many of you love talking about money? Ooh, every day. Okay. Well, let me say it another way. How many of you love talking about your finances?
Ooh.
Okay, we got one. All right. All right. And if it's too much trouble, Lisa, this video is not even necessary.
Nope, I think I got it.
Okay. So, if you're able to get the video up, just really quickly, my name's Ryan Ray again. I hail from the big metropolis of Dunn, North Carolina.
Whoop!
Okay. One person familiar with it. And that's fine, Lisa. We'll just go on to the next slide.
All right.
We won't worry about the video. And so what the video was simply going to share was kind of a highlight of my story. Real quickly, I grew up in the big metropolis of Dunn, in a small town, small community, actually out in the country. I grew up looking at tobacco and cotton. I had all the reasons to live this life that I would think one would live. I don't take it for granted that I had both of my parents to raise me. I was in walking distance of both of my grandparents. I was around family all of my life, grew up in the church, had the nuggets, had the information that would, again, I think, support me in getting to where I wanted to be in life. But even with all of that, I screwed it up. Right? Even with having the blueprint to what I think are the precursors to a successful life, I screwed it up. I went on off to college, and no idea what I wanted to do, be, or become. Anybody ever found yourself in that
Amen.
situation? Yeah. And I messed around and crammed 4 years into 5.5. Y'all get that later?
Yes, we did.
And finally graduated, went right into sales and marketing, did nothing with my degree. But what I realized was that I love working with people, and I love to have some control of my finances. And sales allows us to be able to do that. After about 3 years in that space, I found myself standing on the curb of Leith Honda one day, selling cars. And I looked up in the sky and I said, God, there's got to be more to life than this. Anybody ever had that?
Yes, sir.
And here I am, a high school graduate, college degree, and I never read a book. I was an uneducated brother. Nobody had ever led me to the information that I was passionate and really wanted to learn. Now, how many of you know that when the student is ready,
The teacher will appear. Yes.
And when I made that declaration, one of my friends on the car lot walked up to me and he handed me a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. First book I ever read cover to cover. Absolutely devoured that book. And I'm going to share some of the principles that I learned in that as we go through this presentation. But it opened my eyes to a world that I had no idea existed. You know, my father worked for Goodyear Tire Company for 33 and a half years. He brought home the bacon, right, retired, and I thought to myself, man, after such a long, outstanding career, why isn't there more to show for what he's accomplished? They're doing well, everything's good, but I always felt like there was so much more to life than what he was able to accomplish and achieve financially. And it wasn't that he didn't make the money. He made the money, okay? I want y'all to get that. But he didn't understand financial principles and disciplines. And so shortly after I read that book, I did get frustrated. You ever got some new information and you really got frustrated? Because I didn't know what to do at that point. I knew the information was sound, but I didn't know how to apply it to my life. And so shortly after that, I'm on my way down to Tampa, Florida, to see a friend of mine, and I fall asleep at the wheel, and that's what this video was going to share. And I found myself in a helicopter being airlifted to Orlando Regional, where they put me back together, and found myself back in Dunn. In the bedroom I grew up in, with my mom putting my socks and shoes on my feet. Started from scratch, lost it all. And it was at that point that God placed a mentor in my life, another key word that I'm going to talk about today. And that mentor invited me to his insurance classes, sales classes, right? And he said, Ryan, if you just start to come to these classes, and I think I'll share some information with you that may help to reshape your philosophy in life. How many of you know this? Our philosophy in life that determines our results in life, our direction in life. And he began to say things to me like, Ryan, it's not what happens to you, son. But at that point, I'm clueless as to why did this happen? Right? I wasn't angry or frustrated. I just was curious. Like, okay, man, I thought I was living the lifestyle I was supposed to live. Here I am starting from the bottom, all over again. And he said, Ryan, it's not what happens to you that determines your success. He said, it's what you do with what happens to you. Then he said to me, Ryan, there's no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothing. And then he said something that absolutely reshaped my entire philosophy around life. He said, Ryan, because up to this point, I thought that the goal in life was to chase success, material things, acquisition of stuff, right? My own passions and pursuits. And he said, no, Ryan. He said, success is not something that you pursue. Success is something that you attract by the person you become. He said, if you're focused on becoming a person of value and focused on how to solve the problems and needs of other people, I promise you your life will scale well beyond whatever you ever imagined. And I bought into that. And I became this knucklehead who was very uneducated, and I got real interested in how I could be a better person, how I could become a better version of myself, how if I developed skills and provided value to the market, then I could extract that value back from the market. And after really becoming awakened to this idea, I was introduced shortly after that to this idea of financial literacy, right? The basic information and knowledge around managing our money. At this point in my life, again, I'm probably 27, 28 years old. I have $30,000 in student loan debt. I have a brand new truck that I bought because I felt like I could pay the payment. Which don't mean I could afford it. I could afford the payment. Right? And I said to myself, man, there's something wrong with this path. Because I got paid on Friday, but about Tuesday, guess what I was? Broke. Because everybody else was doing what? Asking me for my money. Began to study this thing called personal development, financial literacy, and I just simply want to share today just some principles that I've learned along the way that have helped me to shape my thinking and develop some disciplines to where now I can live a life of financial freedom and independence. So, how many of you how many people in the world would you say, in the wealthiest nations in the world, live financially free? And before we ask that question, how would you define financially free? How would you define financial independence?
Having the money to go, do, be, have anything.
Okay, having the money to go, do, be, have anything.
The way I define it is doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want.
Man, that's exactly my definition. I appreciate that. Anybody else? There's no wrong. How would you define it? You go with that?
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Well, 99% of people in the wealthiest nations in the world do not live financially free. Anybody contest that?
Yeah. I think that's right.
100%. 99%. You know, even, and I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but I think like the top 3 to 5 wealthiest people in the world have as much wealth as the bottom 50% in the world. And I think it's even higher than that now.
Mhm.
Think about that. It's because we've been misinformed along the way. Yeah, so 99% of the wealthiest nations, people in the wealthiest nations in the world do not live financially free. So let's keep going. Here's some financial statistics, and I apologize. I know I broke the code. You don't put this many words on one PowerPoint. Well, forgive me. But what I want you to do, can y'all see that?
Not well.
Pick out one. Nearly 4 in 5 U.S. workers live paycheck to paycheck. Pick out one that just resonates with you. 56% of people have no emergency funds. 44% of Americans have no cash to cover a $400 expense. 45% of Americans have less than 10K saved for retirement. Student loan debt exceeds $1 trillion now. 43% of student loan borrowers are not making payments. And some of these numbers are even dated. Y'all looking at me like, oh boy. 38% of households have credit card debt, and if there's a credit card balance, it exceeds $16,000. 2018 total consumer debt in America, again dated, was $3.95 trillion. It's probably approaching 5 by now. 40% of Americans spend half of their income in debt payments. How many believe that?
Yep.
And mortgages are over 10 trillion now. Mortgages, auto loans, credit card debt, and student loans take up most of people's money. So just grab one of those. Which ones jump off the most to you? Anybody? Which one's just like, wow?
The first one, 45 Americans.
Live paycheck to paycheck? Yep. Lil' Kim? All of them jump off? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Which one of you just like, no way? Like, wow?
Student loan debt.
Student loan debt, right? Crazy. And the fact that over 40% of people, like, that is not sustainable, right? Like, how do you give out money and less than half of the people are paying it back, right? We got some problems here in America. Okay, next slide. How many of you remember back in, I think it was around 99, the movie The Matrix came out?
Sure.
Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne. And in that movie, Lawrence Fishburne is asking Neo, like, what's going on, Neo? Like, something seems to be troubling you, right? And Morpheus says to Neo, or Neo says, yeah, like something's wrong. Like something's wrong in the world. Like something's not right. And what Morpheus says to Neo is that it's this world that we live in, and they're hiding the truth from us. And Neo says to Morpheus, well, what is the truth? He said, the truth, Neo, is that we're slaves. We're slaves to this system that was not designed for us. It was not set up for you to win. The system thrives on your productive capacity, right? And so Neo goes out and he looks around the world and he sees it, right? Anybody live in a big city and never hang out downtown around lunchtime?
Yeah.
And what do we see?
Hustle and bustle.
Just, if you haven't done it yet, just go downtown to a big metropolis and just sit downtown somewhere and just hang out. And just watch the hustle and bustle of people doing exactly what they need to do, 80% of people doing exactly what they need to do to survive. But given another opportunity, they probably wouldn't be doing that, right? And that's what I want to talk about today is that how do we put ourselves in a position to do what we want to do? And I'll go a step further and say not even what we want to do, but really what we're called to do, right? See, the enemy knows that if he can keep our money bound and our health bound, then he's got us, right? But when we can get free financially and when we can get free physically, now we can go out and live our true purpose, okay? Okay, Lisa. And so what is the financial matrix? So real quickly, what quadrant are you in? Y'all, I know no other way to share than to keep it real, right? Which quadrant would you say you're in? Broke, living paycheck to paycheck. And let me just say that broke is a temporary situation. Poverty is a state of mind, right? But broke is a temporary situation. It means I got paid on Friday, and by Tuesday I was broke. I had to figure out how to make it from Tuesday to Friday, and I was no longer broke. But 3 days later, I was broke, right? That was a temporary situation that I fixed. To the right, status. When I was selling cars, man, I knew how to go out and make money, right? I would have a good month, and then guess what happens? I turn it off, go enjoy that good month, and I had to start all over again. That's booming. It's the real estate market, right? Real estate agents just had an incredible what? Boom. But I don't want to predict anything, but if you've looked over time, a bust is coming, right? The downward turn is coming. And so as the financial metric says, I know how to make a lot of money, but I don't have the discipline to keep it over time. Financially secure. That's that individual who says, you know what, I need security. I'm gonna save a year of my income. And then financially free, we just define. So you don't have to answer, but I want you to decide within yourself right now which quadrant you're in. Anybody got it? So whichever one you're in, my mentor told me never take somebody to the ditch and leave them there. Right? You got to show them how to cross it. So no matter which quadrant you're in, we're going to show you how to get out. Okay, Lisa. So, how many of you know that finances is a game? Money is a game, right? It is, right? And who wants to win the money game? Everybody does. Well, what is absolutely necessary to win any game you play? You gotta know what?
the rules.
You gotta know the rules.
Gotta know the rules of the
Right?
game.
I mean, if you go out on a soccer field with a baseball bat and a baseball and a glove, you can't even attempt to play, right? So the first thing you gotta understand is that, number one, it's a game. And listen, here's the thing about the money game. It's not like the basketball league. It's not like the softball league. It's not like the bowling league. That if you pull a muscle or your situation changes, like me, you get two little boys running around and you can no longer make those commitments, you get to do what? Quit. Right? You can quit the bowling league, but guess what about this game?
You can't quit it.
You can't quit. You can't show up one day and say, you know what, no, I'm gonna sit this one out.
You know?
So if you gotta play it, guess what you ought to play to do?
Win.
Win. And not just win by a small margin, but win how?
Landslide.
Win big, by a landslide. And that's what I want to challenge us today. This is a game you can't quit. So since we got to play it, Brian,
That's right.
we might as well play
Might
to
as
win.
well.
So if you want to play to win, the first thing you got to know are the rules. What are the rules to the money game? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The second thing, in order to win a game, who are sports fanatics, former athletes? Defense what?
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships. Offense what?
Wins glory.
Offense sells tickets.
Yep.
Right? The Lakers and the Golden State Warriors going to be your highest selling games all season long. Why? Because it's run and gun. Nobody's playing defense. Whoever in that situation is going to be who got the ball in the last 2 minutes going to win the game, right?
Except when Shaq was there.
Except, well, yeah,
They play defense.
that's an anomaly, right? Like,
But Milwaukee won the championship.
but Milwaukee won the championship. Why?
Defense.
Defense.
Defense. So defense wins games. So what is defense? Defense is the thing that most people don't want to play, right? But it's necessary to win. And in the financial game, defense
Debt
is eliminating debt. Okay? We're going to talk about that. And then offense is investing in yourself. You know, I can't help but give credit because I know this guy. One of the guys I know that does more investing in himself. And I follow him from afar. And you're going to hear from him a little bit later today. This guy back here in the corner. Like it shows. Like I know it. Like the words that just come out of his mouth shows that he invests in himself. And not saying any of you don't, but I know that. I can speak to that. Right? And as you invest in yourself, anybody ever been riding down, if you live in Raleigh, I know you have. You've been riding down the road and you look over to the side and you see this piece of dirt. Right? And you come back weeks later and now that piece of dirt's been cleared. You come back a few weeks later, now there's some sidewalks, some curving. Well, the first time you drove by, that dirt wasn't worth a whole lot, right? But as you begin to invest in that piece of dirt, what happens to it? The value goes up. And the more you invest on that piece of dirt, the more someone is able to extract value from that. It might have been worth $1 million when it was just trees on it. But once you clear it, curve it, start pouring a foundation, putting a roof on it, now that 1 million becomes 3, 5, 10. So, and we are so much more valuable than a piece of dirt. So when we invest in ourselves, now we're able to add value to the market and then extract that value back out from the market. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So that's how you win the game. So let's start from the gate. Where does all the money go? If I was to ask you, what is your number one expense? What would you say?
Well, I know it's taxes.
Who else would have said that?
I would say taxes.
What else would you have said? Who would have said something other than taxes? Your
Some
number one
people think
expense.
house or car, but it's not. It's taxes.
So you gotta know the rules to the game.
Yeah.
Most people, before I put this slide up, would have said mortgage, car, right? The thing that they see leave out of their bank account on a weekly, monthly basis, right? But your number one expense is taxes, in most cases. Now, what are let's name a few taxes in case someone's, doesn't believe me. What taxes do we pay?
Property.
Property tax. What else?
Income tax.
Income tax. What else?
Sales and use tax.
Sales and use tax. What else?
Sometimes you pay county taxes. too.
County taxes, 100%. What else?
Food tax.
Food tax, right? Now the
Gas
funny thing
tax,
is, gas
gas
tax.
tax, cigar
Right.
tax.
Now the funny thing is, many of us haven't talked about the taxes that if you are or have ever been a W-2. Got this chick named FICA.
FICA.
She'll stick her hand in your pockets. She don't even ask.
She don't-
She don't even.
It's just-
Rude.
She don't be like, can you spare this week? No, she don't care. She just reach her Social Security. They just reach their hand right in your pocket and pull it right out, and you don't even care. Now here's the part of the game. We used to get a check stub, right? We get that check stub, we look at it and we'd be mad. Man, I can't believe she took all this money from me. I'm calling her she. You know who it is. It's Uncle Sam, right? Took all this money from me, but they got smart, and now we get our monies out.
Direct deposit.
Direct deposit. And guess what we care? That's what all we care about.
If
What
the money
actually
in the
hit
bank.
Is what landed in the bank account.
Right.
We don't even care what we paid. But I challenge you, if you still have a W-2, or if you've got a W-2 laying around, or if you can still log into the payroll system, just go in there one day and look, and see the taxes that you've given to the government. On average, the average American, a third of their income, 33.33% of every dollar they make goes to taxes. See, now if you don't know that, you can't mitigate against it. If you don't know that, you are a third of your income short from the gate. That's a third. You just took a third of your money and said, I don't even want that. I don't even need that. I'm not even gonna count that. But how many of you know you can count it?
Mhm.
But you gotta know the rules to the game, okay? The second place the money goes is debt service. Now, how would you define debt service?
Banking, insurance. Maybe.
No. How would you define debt service? Not debt elimination, not debt payoff, debt service. Debt service means the minimum payments I make on something month after month after month. So the $45 payment we make on our credit card every month, that's called debt service. The car payment that we make, the minimum car payment, they send us the statement. That mortgage payment that we make that's amortized over years, don't let me get into that. If I had a whiteboard, I would really mess y'all up today. Right? That's debt service. That means that we have said, you know what? I can afford the payment, and as long as I can afford the payment, I don't care how long it takes me to pay it off. But that debt service costs us another third of our income. Not to mention our future value of money because of the debt that we pay, because of the interest that we pay over time. Let me just hit you real hard, and because I love you, and I'm gonna sit back in the back, and guess how much you pay for a $250,000 mortgage amortized at a basic interest rate over 30 years? Guess what you end up paying for that home?
$1.08 million.
Wow, I was gonna be a little more generous than that, but it's probably not
Three
far from
times.
that. But it's at least 3 times. So let's think about this. If it was $250,000 when you signed up for it, 30 years later, how many plan on living 30 years?
Plan on it, yeah.
Into that, it costs you another $500,000. Let me ask you something. Who do you think that $500,000 would have been? Who do you think would have been? How do you think that $500,000 would have been better in the hands of the bank or in the hands of you?
Me, definitely.
See, that's the bank gonna tell you that because we get caught up in the what?
The
The payment. And the bank will tell you, like, oh, you can afford the payment, but guess what the bank don't consider? Daycare,
Inflation.
the refrigerator break it down, all of these things the bank don't consider. The bank just wants your commitment, your money. You bring me a little bit of credit score, a little bit of income statement. 14 years ago, you could buy a house and they didn't even care. They didn't even care, right? Before that 2008 crash, okay? All right, y'all get the point. Let me get on out of here. And I can say to this audience, because before this year when I talked about inflation, a lot of people would be like, oh, what's inflation? I'm sure y'all know what inflation is in this room today. You know now, right? So what is inflation?
The rising cost of things.
The rising, so it's two things, right? It's the rising cost, which then decreases the value of your dollar. Which means that $100 this time last year buys less than that same $100 buys today. I remember when I got my license, I'll date myself a little bit, and got my car, gas was 99 cents.
Oh, damn.
A
I
gallon.
remember that too.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Right, you just had heartburn right there. Right? Pull up to the pump, what is gas today?
Shoot, 450?
All right, so let me ask you a question. 20 years from now, you think gas gonna still be $3.99? Guess how much was a car 20, 30 years ago?
15,000.
$5,000, $6,000. How much is a car today? You can't get the basic car with the gas and transmission for $5,000 to $6,000. Not new. I mean, you find some used, right? How much was a home 20, 30 years ago? You said
100,000.
15,000.
Yeah, 15,000.
The average home 30 years ago was about 15,000. What's the average home price now?
What, 200?
350.
350.
You think it's gonna be 350 20 years from now?
Nope.
You think our children can go buy a $250,000 home? I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. You think they're gonna go find a $250,000 home when they're ready to buy?
Not a chance.
Maybe in Mexico. You think they're gonna be able to find a $30,000 car when it's time for them to buy a car? Absolutely not. So it's so important that we understand finances, because future generations are dependent on us.
Yes.
I'm gonna let Carnella preach to us, but there's somewhere in the word that it says to leave an inheritance, and Lisa's mentioned it,
Yes.
for our children's children. That's a little bit of change, right? We keep going. So, a third of our income, if you're not mitigating against those, you're struggling financially. It's just the facts, okay? We're gonna talk about that. All right, so let's breathe, deep breath. So, Les Brown, I'm sure all of us in here, because you're gonna speak, if you haven't heard of this guy, I recommend it. Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you what you want, where you want to go, no one else. See, it's time that we start taking personal responsibility for the results in our lives, in any aspect. Health, finances, spiritually, relationally. Like, nobody's coming to save us.
That's right.
Right? It don't matter who the president is. I promise you, a president has never impacted my bottom line. Never. I'm sorry. I don't care what CNN or the other one. It don't matter to me who's in office.
Right.
Because I operate on kingdom principles, not political garbage. Right? And when you play by the rules, listen, the rules are there. The rules are there. This book been around a long time, and the rules are right there. We just aren't playing by them. Lisa. Y'all good? Y'all getting something?
Yes,
So,
sir.
so here's how it starts. What is your, anybody want listen to the light? What's your reality? Right? What's your reality? Right? What is your reality? Most of our realities, we take a look at our current situation, and we make our decisions based on what we can see. Well, this is all I have. This is all I make. This is all I know how to do. Right? And so we form our realities and set our goals, if we even do that, based on our current realities. And our current realities really aren't enough to make us do something different. Because what we're content with, we will not change. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you look at your bank account and you say, yeah, it's okay, I can make it. That's all right. Guess what you guys gonna do? Change it. If you're okay with the bills coming in the mail and overwhelming you, and you're just like, it'll be okay, I can manage through it, guess what? You're not gonna change it. What's the first response when someone asks you, man, how you doing?
Fine. Yeah.
90% of the time we lying. Not intentionally, but because we haven't taken personal responsibility. Because we really aren't doing fine. Let's just be honest with ourselves. You know, I found myself as a 27-year-old looking out on that car lot, waiting on people to come up to me so I could sell them a car. And I realized I can't sell enough cars to get myself out of this $70,000 hole I've dug myself, and to then live the lifestyle that I desire to live. I got frustrated. And it wasn't until I got discontent with where I was that I was willing to do what I needed to do to change. So what we have to begin to do is develop a preferred reality. So a preferred, and guys, listen, this isn't easy to do. That same mentor told me, said, Ryan, and here's, let me bring it down, what's layman terms? A dream, a why. I promise somebody's gonna talk about that today. A goal, right? What is a different reality that you would desire in your life than you have today? Okay? Close your eyes for just a second and just begin to think about that. What is just, of all the domains of your life, emotional, social, relationally, financially, spiritually, physically, socially, of all the domains in your life, choose one, and if finances is at the top of your list, go financially, right? And so don't even think about I want you to throw your current reality out the window. Like, forget about it. It don't matter what you make now, your bank account looks like. None of that matters, guys. I promise you, if I told you my story, you'd be like, how is he up here talking about money? But what would be your preferred reality? What would you really want to see? What's the lifestyle you really want to live? How much money would you really like to make? And I hope this doesn't feel like woo-woo. Like, I hope you're really like, because until we get uncomfortable, right, we won't do anything. Because it's not easy to make some of the decisions that I'm going to throw out here today. So, what is your preferred reality? What is the outcome that you desire different than your current one? If you don't decide a plan differently than you have, someone else has a plan for you. If you don't have a plan for your life, somebody else has a plan for it. You know, up here I call it the 45-year plan. I've also heard it called the 40-40-40 plan. Anybody ever heard of that? It's not a club. Well, it probably is a club, but the 40-40-40 plan. That means that you work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life and retire off of 40% of your income. That's somebody else's plan for you. Remember I talked about before that someone else is very interested in our productive capacity, our ability to go out in this short span of our life, to go out and produce value for their interest. Someone else has a plan for your life, but if you don't, theirs will. So here's what that means. Somewhere around 20 years, we get out of school or we start a job, and we're making some decent income. That first 15 years, we see a pretty good trajectory of income, right? Because we won't make anything, right? So now we start making 30, 40 grand a year, whatever that might be. And then over the next 40 years, what happens? Between that age of between 35 and let's say 65, what happens? Well, let's just say between 35 and, let's say between 20 and 40, what starts to happen?
Start to level off.
So your income level's off, but what do we do with that income?
We increase our debt.
We get in debt. We go get the what? The house, 2.5 cars, right? The white
Family,
picket
the
fence,
dog.
the family, the dog, right? All of these expenses that the world tells us we ought to have, right?
Yes.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, keeping up with, who are the Joneses, by the way?
Pound people.
I
Oh,
ain't
they
never
ought
met
to
them.
be real rich,
I
man.
ain't never
Right?
met
I never met them
Joneses.
either, but I
don't know
was
who
trying
they
to
are.
keep up with them and it didn't work.
So, here's the thing though. If at the end of that 45-year path and our income stayed the same, maybe it'd be manageable, right? I don't recommend it, but maybe it'd be manageable. And here's the thing that the point I try to drive home to people, that at some point in your life, okay, for some it's been much earlier than 65. For some it's been a little later than 60. But at some point in your life, your ability to produce will go away. Either someone else will decide that for you, or your health will decide that for you. At some point, you can no longer get it like you used to get it, unless you created some passive residual income, right? Which means you're not getting it, you already got it, right? Y'all follow me here?
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
looking at
Yes,
me. I
sir.
hope this is landed.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is that what I want you to begin to think about, that preferred reality. Because here's what most people just kind of skip along, right? 35, 45, 55, 65, they look up and say, what in the world have I done? Right? It's not what I want to happen to you guys. So, do me one more quick favor. You don't have to close your eyes for this one. But I want you to look down the road at about 65, 70 years old, the glory years, right? The years where we ought to be sitting out by the lake or investing in other people's lives, hanging out with our grandchildren or great-grandchildren for some. I want you to go down there about 65, 70 years old. I want you to turn around and look back. What will you say you wish you would have done? What will you look back and say, man, because here's the thing, nobody's laying on their deathbed saying, man, if I could have got that next level of Mercedes-Benz or 1,000 more square feet. Like, nobody's on their deathbed wishing for that, right? They're wishing they had time to do what they want to do. So let's wrap this thing on up. So how do you break free? You got to define what you want, learn how to do what it takes, and then do it. So, cash flow quadrant, real quick. Employee has a job, self-employed owns the job, business owner has a system leveraging people, investor, they're leveraging money, okay? I'm just giving you guys some high-level points today. Okay, Lisa? And that's what I learned from Robert Kiyosaki. All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Walt Disney said that. Read his story if you haven't. Okay, Lisa? Now I want to teach you real quickly. Here's your keys to freedom. Financial literacy, what I mentioned, and leveraging entrepreneurship. Okay? Lisa? Happy to share the slides. And so, how many identified where you are earlier?
True.
Everybody identified which matrix you were in, which box you were in? All right, next slide, and I'm done. Show you how to get out. If you're broke, it's because you have no financial literacy or entrepreneurship. It's just the truth, right? You don't understand the rules of money, and you're probably not making a lot of money, okay? If you're in the status quadrant, like I was, you understand how to make money, but you have no discipline. So you're spending, you make it, you spend it, you make it, you spend it. You're not able to keep it long term. If you're financially secure, you probably understand the rules of money. I need to make it, I need to put 10% away, I need to save, I need to get out of debt, but you're probably not making a lot of money leveraging entrepreneurship. So the key to financial freedom is the combination of the two. How do I understand the rules of money, also while making a lot of money? And when you can get to the point where you're leveraging both of those principles, those ideas, now you have the time, freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, as long as you want to do it with whoever you want to do it with. Lisa? So starting today, I want to encourage you all to break free from the financial matrix and live the life you've always wanted. My name is Ryan Ray. You can find me at Ryan Ray Official. It has been a pleasing pleasure to speak with you today. One more slide, and if you want to stay connected for more information, you can scan that QR code.
Good job. Did Ryan teach us something?
Yes.
Did Ryan teach us something?
Yes,
sir.
he did.
I mean, he moved the room around, made y'all change seats, and he poured on you too.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell you got good preaching when it causes you to look at your own life. You know, when it causes you to think about yourself. And I think Ryan did that for some of everybody. You know, he gave us some good preaching. I'm going to take a moment here. I want to thank a guy. His name is Glenn Warren. We're actually in his facility right now. I like people who get it early. When you tell them about your idea, some people will get it. Some people shoot holes in your idea. They pick at it. Some people want to ask all kinds of questions about your idea. But I learned to move with and to rock with the people who get the idea right away. Like when I called him up on the phone and I said, hey Dexter, I'm thinking about putting together some great thought leaders and we want to pour and just share. He gets it right away. Carnella got it right away. Carnella sold her way into the room. She's our next speaker. But Mr. Glenn Warren, he got the mission right away. He didn't need a whole lot of words from me, okay? And he even quoted me right away. He's like, oh man, look, use my place. Because he got the mission right away. And he's also, he has a nonprofit organization, but he's also written an amazing book. And his book is called, I Am a Father Forever. He's telling me about this really, really interesting concept he had called reverse book signing. I want you to help me bring him to the stage here. And I want to give him an opportunity to tell a little bit about his organization. And what do you mean by this Avert book signing? And talk about this textbook/book. Give me a hand, Mr. Glenn Warren. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Brian Ray, I didn't realize you was from Dunn.
Yes, sir.
I grew up in Benson.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I spent a whole lot of time in Dunn. My aunt lived in Dunn.
Okay. I didn't spend that much time in this.
Music is older than you came to, right? My name is Glenn Warren. I am the founder, CEO of Fathers Forever, which is a nonprofit in Raleigh that we work with men. Primarily, we started out 15 years ago working with the child support system. Guys that enlisted for the child support to judge was sent into our program, and like at jail decoration, and we'll take them to a 12-week class in Fathersville. Doing it for 15 years. Of course, when COVID hit, shut all that down. But before then, we was approached by Department of Public Safety to open up some transition houses. So we started out with one transition house, and now we have 5. And we serve 38 men who just coming out of prison. And they're coming out of prison, the uniforms are still on that they had in prison, and we put them in our house for 90 days. We teach them fatherhood classes. We do a lot of anger management classes. A lot of guys, a lot of anger. We teach them, you know, they've been abused, they've been neglected, and so we teach them a lot of that. They have a lot of substance abuses, because a lot of times their addiction is what got them in prison. So they're breaking the enemy to get money to buy drugs. So we do a lot of substance abuse classes with them. We do a lot of parenting classes with them. We talk about where the child support money is going. We talk about the importance of fatherhood. So when COVID hit, we decided to put our curriculum in a book. This is the book. It's called I Am a Father Forever.
Amen.
And we decided it's 12 chapters, got 12 homework assignments. It's really a textbook. And everything we've been teaching for the last 15 years, we put it in this book. And so now I just got back last night from DC, a conference, a fatherhood conference, a reentry. And we, you know, was talking about this whole thing with people getting out of prison, coming back, and how do we help them get back in society. And so we decided to put this book together, and now we also do Zoom classes as well. So then after we started written the book, we had getting a lot of calls in from other organizations wanting, especially prisons, wanting us to send the book. So we couldn't really afford to send the book. So I was praying and asking God, how am I gonna get these books to these guys' hands? I don't have $22 to buy books for everybody.
Right.
So my wife and I was at the beach one day, and she's up 6:30, she's on the computer, and I'm just laying there and I'm praying. And an idea just popped in my head, a reverse book signing. I was like, I'm watching the ocean now, the windows are the big, you know, I think God just kind of got between me and the ocean. But, and I said, what is a reverse book signing? And God said, you go to people, have them donate the book, let them write a nice message in the book, and you give it to the inmates. Simple. It's not rocket science, but it's simple stuff. So I started calling churches, I started calling pastors to host a reverse book signing. We got one tomorrow at the church. And so we go to church, and after church is over, I get up and do a presentation like this, about 10 minutes. And after church is over, we set up a table on the outside, and people come, they donate the book, and they sign the book, and we take it to the inmates. Me and Ryan is part of a cohort group that we work at, and one of the ladies is there also runs a nonprofit, and part of her responsibility is taking Bibles and all Christian literature to prisons. And we connected with her, and she chose this book to put it in prison.
Amen. Amen.
So we have to raise the money for it, but we take it to her, and every month we take about 200 books to her that we raise in the community. And so we're asking people to donate $22. It's called Dads at a Distance. And there's the Cash App. You can go to our website and just donate books. We're also having businesses now. People now are coming in, realtors or whatever, insurance companies are donating 25 books. They don't want to take time to sign the books, so we take the books to the senior citizens, and they sign them.
Nice.
I got 100 books. I got got 100 books now at 2 senior citizens. They had them for the last week. I gotta go pick them up Monday.
That's
At the
awesome.
end of the month, we're gonna send those 100 books to a prison. So I got a call just last week, a guy, he got a book, got a box of books and other things from this ministry, and he opened it up, and the first thing he saw was this book, from Austin, Texas. He called me and said, how can I get this book? Not only do I want to get this book in the prison, but how can I teach this class? So we're gonna teach him how to teach the class. He got access to over 400 inmates. One last thing, statistic, there's 626,000 fathers compared to 50,000 moms who have kids under 18 incarcerated. 627,000 fathers compared to 50,000 moms. So all these men are sitting around, all these, so what's better now than get this book in their hand and teach them, that's why it's called Dads at a Distance. We teach them how to be a dad, even from a distance.
Mr. Warren, thank you. Give him an hand, please.
Worthy cause. A wonderfully worthy cause. And it's so important. If you weren't doing it, we'd have to invent it. Okay, we need that service. So thank you very much. So far, you've heard only men speaking in front of this room. Okay. Does anyone need a few minutes break, or are you ready to go?
I agree.
Okay. Does everybody need a break, or are you ready to keep going? 'Cause I want to bring my speaker up. Okay. I'm ready to bring up the speaker. Because so far you've heard my voice, but I brought a friend along. And next on the mic is my friend Carnella. Let me tell you about Carnella. Carnella Renee Hill. Not only are you going to love her spirit, you're going to love her energy, but you're going to love her story. Okay? She is so easy to like. And she has accomplished big things that a lot of people could only imagine having done. I promise you, and I've told her this before, I was looking for people for this event here, and I didn't know her very well, and I was predisposed to saying no to her being at this event. Because she raised her hand, I was gonna call her and go through the process anyway, because I wanted the people that I wanted. Okay, so I was prepared to say, no, thank you, maybe next time. But when I started talking to her, I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then when I researched her and Googled her and LinkedIn her, that sounds really cool too. And then she said some stuff that I don't think no one else could say, okay? At least not the way she said it. So I was like, man, if she's not in this room, we won't have that talked about at all. So I'm excited to bring Miss Carnella Renee Hill to the stage. Please help me welcome her. You're very welcome.
Woo, I was gonna skip the slides. I said, Lisa, let's skip it, and God said no.
Okay.
So obedience is better than sacrifice. I am grateful, first of all. And I joked with Lisa and Brian, and I said to them, when Brian said, well, I didn't know if you was gonna be able to handle it. I said, I'm a hidden secret, and I already know that. God has made me hidden, and he reveals me when he wants to reveal me. And so I leave it at that. A lot of people underestimate what I have to offer, but you will hear me say this shortly. You gotta know your assignment.
Okay.
And you gotta know when he puts you in a room that you have purpose. So I want you to write down a few things for me. And you're just gonna write it down, you're gonna hold it, and we're gonna talk about it at the end. So Brian, you will hear that commercial now going forth. I'll have to tell what you said to bless somebody else. And
Amen.
it as well. So something I want you to write down. One, first is humble.
Humble.
2, assignment.
Assignment.
3, servant. 4, be. 5, talk it out. And 6, grace. Let me know when you got it.
Cornell, you can just nod towards me, I'm watching you and I can click.
Say that again.
You can just
Okay,
nod
we're
towards
definitely,
me and I'll-
definitely.
and I'll-
We got it?
Yeah.
How's it, Reginald? Okay, next. So, a little bit about me. God blessed me in 2015 to go to the White House to decorate.
Whoop, whoop.
It it was truly God. Because the first time I applied, I was not accepted. And I said, okay, God, I know I can decorate like those people. There we go comparing ourselves, right?
Mm.
And God said, okay, I hear you. And so the second time, my mentor, bless her soul, Miss Andrea Harris said to me, we're gonna do it differently. We're gonna prepare you. And she said that includes redoing your website. I just spent money on this website. I don't have any extra money right now because most of my design work, I do residential, but I do a lot of commercial. And I'll talk about myself along the way. I do a lot of commercial interior design. And so one of the universities is my big baby up until COVID. And so I said, we are gonna do what? She said, one, you're gonna hire a PR person. Don't that cost money too?
Mm.
She said, redo the website and we're gonna go through a strategy. Okay, I'm good with strategy. I got an IT background, been in corporate for years, I can handle this. So I thought. Long story short, here we go. Submitted my paperwork. This time it came back, okay, we just got a few questions for you because not everybody that goes to the White House is selected. Number one, I already know that. Two, some are volunteers. Many are volunteers. And then you have designers and you have florists. Okay. Get my letter back. Long story short, here it is. It's done. I'm accepted. And I tell one person. I tell my mom. You know why? Mom can keep a secret. You can't expose too quickly, right? Mom kept the secret. Didn't tell my dad. Dad can't keep a secret. And that's exactly what I told him. He was upset. We'll talk about who do you tell, when do you tell, how do you tell. And so in that whole story, going to the White House was the blessing we went on Thanksgiving. Mom, I'm not coming home for Thanksgiving. That's not like you. What's going on? I'm going to the White House to decorate. Girl, we'll save the turkey for you. Go. Packed all my books. Somebody paid for my trip. They'll take the train. They said, don't drive. I got you. Okay. Had all my little self-help books. I was good to go. Called home Thanksgiving Day. Hung up and was in tears on the train. Why was I in tears? Because I'm a family person. I'm used to being with my family for Thanksgiving. Okay, guys, this is different. I done read self-help books, or at least some versions of it. And then I had a pep talk with myself. Get over you. You're gonna be okay. I'm taking you to another level. You're going to the White House to decorate. Bam. Get there. Get on the train, get the Uber, and go to the room. And I knew, as Ryan said, how am I gonna pay for this trip? I do government work. I work for universities. You're always waiting for a check. Entrepreneurship is beautiful, but entrepreneurship will keep you on your knees. And I said, okay, God, how am I gonna do this? So I had money to pay for 2 nights, and it was a 6-night stay. And I'm saying, God, like, seriously? And he said, ask. I said, ask? I don't want anybody to know I don't have any money, and I'm waiting for a check. He said, you receive not, because you ask not.
Whoop, whoop.
I called my brothers and my sisters, and I said, hey, I don't have enough money to stay. I don't know what I'm gonna do. My brother said, you will not come home. You're representing a family. You will stay, and I'll pay for a night. My sister paid for another night. My other brother, family member paid for another night. And do you know God will send somebody to also bless you even more. So instead of using the rate that we were given for our hotel, the hotel allowed me to Google and find a cheaper rate, and that's what they offered my room for. can't tell me that you don't need God in your business.
Love it. Love it.
Every day, I Googled, found the cheapest rate, went downstairs, they gave me the cheapest rate. Every night. They said, Miss Hill, don't worry about it, we got you. They didn't know me from Adam. But God sent somebody to say, you're supposed to be here. This is your assignment. So, bam, here it is, I'm there. Fast forward, I'm on this trip. I did what my coach said. I hired a PR person. We talking every night trying to get my website, everything. Because it hasn't been leaked that I'm at the White House yet. So I'm there, I'm working. My first assignment, and we're given assignment sheets. First assignment was in, everybody went to the White House. We're all excited. It's 100 and something of us, including the event planners. Wow, yes, go, this is good. And I'm on a scaffold. I'm not a scaffold girl. But, you know, I'm excited. Second day, my assignment was the warehouse. We want the beautiful stuff, but sometimes God say, I'm gonna see how humble you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's cold in this warehouse.
Dirty.
It's a hidden place in Maryland somewhere. Cause you know, this is the White House. It's hidden, it's in the cut, and it doesn't look like a normal building, it's a warehouse. And I had my coat, bundle, socks, I mean, I was not cute, and they wanna take pictures, because you're working in the warehouse. And I said, I didn't sign up for this part. God said, but you'll be okay. Third day, everybody's back at the White House. Good to go. And as I was telling Dexter, you know how you get sit somewhere and you're excited, but you also know that you have a greater purpose? So I couldn't fully get as excited as I wanted to because I knew my assignment was greater than me. So I'm walking the halls and all these wonderful things, and we're unloading the truck. Third day, we had to unload all that stuff to go in the White House. And they're unloading the truck, and I'm unloading the truck, and guess who comes by? HGTV. And people are charging. They run into them. But when you have an assignment on your life, you don't have to run and chase money or anything.
Wow.
God will put you right there at the right place. And I should have played the video. We might have to try to find it right quick. I know it's on my IG page. They came to me. Can I do an interview? Sure. Interview number 1. You notice I said interview number 1, right? Kept going, smiling, having a good time. Okay, God, I know it's more to it. Well, this is the same time that the Paris attacks happened. So we get to see President Obama leave out, but he didn't know we was there. So everybody's standing in the window looking. I get up on the ladder. Like, y'all, the ladder right here. Why y'all standing? Everybody at the bottom peeping like this. I'm up on the ladder. I can see good. Strategy. That's nobody but God. He's telling me what to do. So my next assignment is I'm assigned to the state dining room, and in the state dining room, I am on a team. Well, we know when God is preparing us for anything, we have to do something before we actually get the assignment. So my church, huge church, I asked the pastor about doing Christmas trees. Can we do Christmas trees? We've never done Christmas trees. Angel trees is actually what my proposal was to him. He said, sure, Carnella, I'll read over and send it to me. I'll read over and let you know. Had a team at the church, didn't have that same team at the White House. He said, you do understand there's more Christmas trees more trees at the White House, right? Yes. Guess where I get assigned? Christmas trees. Okay, God. This is a test, right? And I'm gonna talk about tests in a few minutes. This is a test. Okay, fine. I'm gonna pass the test. Pass the test. Okay. So So I accept that. I get assigned to my team. We are on scaffolds. My team said, get down off the scaffold and tell us what to do. We're just volunteers. We've never designed before. You get down and tell us what to do. Cool. Somebody's always watching you, right? White House staff sent the event planning team over. You're doing a good job. Second time, you're doing a good job. Third time, you're doing a good job. And then I stopped. 3 times? This is just 3 times somebody can tell you you're doing a good job, and you don't know if that's good or bad. Because
Right.
they had sent some people home for not doing what they were supposed to do. Last time, come go with me. Am I going home? She was like, no, you're not going home, and don't tell anybody. I gotta go get 2 more people. And we were blessed to go into the Oval Office to design. We're like 3 little girls running down the hall, excited. Okay, God, you moving. This is good. This is good. Go in, we help, we do what we gotta do, come out. Next day, I am supposed to be in that same room or another room. They come to me. Did I say somebody's always watching you? They come to me and they say, Carnella, we need help with this room over here. What, can you come help? Sure. What you need? Well, we have these trees and I can't get away from these trees. What would you do with these trees? I said, well, what were you gonna do with the trees? They said, we were gonna put candy canes on them. Nobody puts candy canes on trees. How big are the candy canes? Like this. I was like, plastic ones? We have time to go to Target? No. You gotta use what you got. And I was like, well, go get some from her room and this room and that room, and this is what we're gonna do. Okay. Okay, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. This is the same room that the gingerbread house is shown. The same room with First Lady Obama coming in. Same room HGTV is in here walking around and interviewing, and everybody is trying to get over to them. I'm just doing it. Carnella, what you need? What do you need? I need ornaments from this room. I need 3 to 4 people to help me. This is what I need. Okay. You have a short window, so get it done. Okay. It's gonna be good. We went to work. HGTV comes over. Can we interview you again? Sure. And the story is history from there. Except I'm riding home after the celebration dinner that night. I'm on my way from the train. My sorority sister called and said to me, Carnella, hey, we need something from you. I was working on strategic planning. Can you help us do so and so? So, sure, okay. I said, I don't have my information with me. Can I just call you tomorrow? And I was not thinking, because I was so excited. I said, I'm on my way home from the White House, decorating. She said, what did you just say? And then it dawned on me, darn, you opened your mouth. But that was strategic too. Let me tell you what God did next. I said it to her. She said, I'll call you tomorrow. I'm so excited. Okay, fine. I just wanted to get home. I was tired. It's been a long 7 days. It was good. I wake up the next morning and my phone is going off. My sorority sister, she can hold water too. She texted and said, sis, one of the TV stations want to do an interview, and I told them, and they called me because somebody at the job called me because they know we are close. And I would not give them your number. I said, give them my PR person's telephone number. She's ready. Notice what I said. My mentor said, get ready, because you will not have time to get ready for what God is about to do. I was not the first one to ever go to the White House. But it was my time in God's eyes. And he used that. And so they got the interview. I wasn't even back in North Carolina. I was back. I was at my mom's house. I wasn't back in Raleigh. I went to my mom's house to rest, and then I was coming home, and my phone is going off. She said, go on Facebook. Have you seen Facebook? And I was like, I ain't seen Facebook. I'm asleep. I opened Facebook, and I can't even keep up with all the posts and the reposts and everything that's happening. And all I can remember is my mentor said, you will not have time to get ready. So therefore your website has to be ready. The PR person has to be in line. And I said, God, for real? And the story went from there. Someone called me 2 days later to say, they just announced your name on Tom Joyner Show. I was like,
That's
stop!
nice.
And we kept trying to get it. We couldn't get it. When God opens a door for you, he opens that door wide. He does not play. But will you trust him
Love it.
in the process? All right, let's go. So that's that. Let's keep going. So why do you need faith in your business? I'm so glad you asked the question. Keep going. Okay, it's on pause. Just know you can't do anything without faith being in your business. The number one principle of success is God first plus your business. Let's say we going big today. God first plus your business equals success. If I was to survey everybody in the room, most of the business owners in here would say, I put God first in my business. We're going to keep going. Next, as we are moving through our business, and I just said, what does faith have to do with it? I love the story of King Solomon. It's one of my favorite, that should be the next slide, richest man who ever lived. 1 Kings, 2 Chronicles. What did King Solomon ask God for?
Wisdom.
He asked for wisdom, and he asked for understanding. If you've never read this book, Jackson, same last name. Get this book. What you'll learn in that book is Oprah, all the big names, they have faith in God. They may not always talk about God, but it does not mean that they do not have faith in God. And it is crucial for your next level. Ryan talked about kingdom work, kingdom assignment. You can go to the next one. Yes, wisdom, stay with wisdom, knowledge, and then strategy. God will give you strategy, send you the right people to help you get the right strategy so that you can be successful in whatever he has called you to do. The Bible talks about, it doesn't say exactly multiple streams of income, but it talks about having different businesses. We are all called to do different things. And you gotta know what it is that God is calling you to do. Next one. So I'm gonna break this down real quick for you. So you've written the vision, you've made it plain. The other day I was teaching on to women leaders and clergy, and one of the questions, I said, God, what do you really want me to teach on? He said, Habakkuk 2:2, write a vision, make it plain. I said, okay. The next thing he said was peace. I was like, how does write the vision and make it plain and peace go together? And he began to reveal to me something. I'm gonna go to number 2, tithe on your business. Tithe on your business before you even get the business. And if you don't know what that tithe, ask God for it and he'll give it to you. So there are sometimes I'll tithe on 2022. Most of this year I've tithed on 2022 in addition to my regular amount. 2023, I'll tithe on 2023. Might be $223. $20.23. Whatever he gives you, how you give it, tithe on it. Wrap. You see it several times. Rest in whatever God tells you. So you say, write the vision, make it plain, rest in what he told you. Ask for what you need. God, send me the right people. Send me people of influence. Put me in the right places, in the right circles. And P, whatever he tell you, be at peace with it. Be at peace at whatever he tells you, because guess what? He's preparing you for that next. Rest is crucial, and I'm going to tell you about that in a few minutes. Be ready to activate, to move on whatever he tells you. Now, he may have you to sit and really rest in it, because he's going to give you wisdom, he's going to give you strategy, he's going to give you creativity, and you can only truly receive that is when you're resting. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we want to keep going and we want to keep moving and we want to keep hustling, and God is saying, no, I need you to stop. Sit still. Don't listen to a lot of outside forces. Ask me to block the distractions and watch what I tell you when you come out of it. Evolve. T square. As an entrepreneur, we take risks. We take chances. And we have to be careful and wise, because just when you're going good, the test comes. And you can't. Some tests we can avoid, and some tests is just God wants to see how you're going to handle the test. And it goes back to rap. You're going to keep resting, you're going to keep asking, and he's going to give you peace. And in all of that, you got to tell your story. The good, the bad, the ugly. The bankruptcy that I cried, and I cried over. And when I went to the attorney office, they was like, we've never seen anybody like you. I never wanted to tell the story. And I met somebody at a church, and she said, God said, tell the story and stop being ashamed. You went through that bankruptcy for you to learn something, but for you to tell somebody too. And in that, I grew. And I learned some new strategies. But God said, tell the story. And the health issues. And then rest again. Go to the next one. So sowing. Some people say don't tithe. Some people say don't tithe. Some don't believe in tithing. The devil is a liar. As Ryan said, what does the Bible say? Because that is the principle. So that would be the second principle. And you repeat. You sow seeds. God will continue to just keep blessing you. Keep blessing you. If you follow his principles. It is simple. We make it complicated. Go to the next one. Test. I mentioned you will have a test. And Brian, I one of y'all said this. I think it was you, Brian, said. You didn't say exactly like this, but you said the pain.
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you want it? And God said to me one night, I was frustrated. I was tired. And I was like, Lord, I'm tired. And he said, I want to see how bad do you want this business. I've been a designer for 22 years. And I can tell you there was days where my phone would not ring because he wouldn't let it ring. I would reach out to people and he said, no, I am your first person because nobody will take credit for what I did. I know you laughing, you got that. Share. No, it is important to tell it. I don't care. Some days you don't even want to talk about your story. Ryan, me and you have been on some of the same places. We don't want to talk. We tired of telling that same story. But that's okay. Somebody, and Brian, you said it, one person in the room needs this. And if I've given it to one person and their life was blessed and changed, I have done what I was supposed to do. Take me to the next one. Before I take my seat, a couple of things I want to share with you. I told you to take notes on, write this down. Stay humble. Stop believing the hype of I am a self-made millionaire. If you want to go to your knees quickly, keep telling it, God, you're a self-made millionaire. You are not a self-made millionaire. And the world is stuck on that one right now. And the same ones that are saying it, notice what's starting to happen. We didn't make ourselves. We can't even stay in that box. Know your assignment. I know my assignment. I know what God has called me to do. When I go into houses to do interior design work, I know it is ministry. God strategically takes me into certain assignments and certain houses and certain projects because I have ministry work to do. Yes, he gets me in with the decorating and all of that, but it's about the ministry work. I've been in houses where they're going through a divorce, and God puts me there strategically to say something to them. Know your assignment. I can't play in Ryan's space. I can't play in Dexter's or Brian's space. That's not where God called me. Be where God called you and stay faithfully there. Yes, he may give me a little bit of what they got, but that's not my assignment. Know your assignment. Have a servant's heart. God, I need you. And when I ask God, put me in the right places, in the right rooms, all of these wonderful things, we have to serve first. T.D. Jakes says it well, God make me a servant. And when he makes you a servant, then he will send the right people to bless you too, because you're doing what you're supposed to do. Just be. What is just be? I kept saying, be still and know that I am God. He said, you already know that. I said, be still. He said, you already know that too. He said, just be. What is be? Rest in me. Relax. Know that I got what I have given you and know that it is well. I'm wrapping it up. Talk it out. Depression in entrepreneurs is on an all-time high. Every 3 entrepreneurs is suffering from depression, and they never tell anybody about it because of the stigmatism that goes with it. Don't go through that. Talk it out. It's enough of us in the room that we can be that listening ear.
Amen.
Extend grace. Extend grace to yourself. Extend grace to yourself. You extend it to others, extend it to yourself. We don't always do good with that. Skip on down to God said. And in all of this, what did God call you to be? He said that you're a winner. You are victorious. You can do all that he has called you to do. But you gotta follow the principles. And he is the #1 principle. I have a few book projects. I got a few book
I
things.
want you to talk about it, please.
Woo,
Talk about the
hallelujah.
books.
This is it.
Okay.
God said, write the book. I started. He gave me the table of contents on the way from Mr. Joe Douglas conference some years back. And my sister-in-law was driving. Literally, he gave me the table of contents. And I took the table of contents and I started working on the book. And I stopped. When I stopped, God said to me, I started, it's like, this don't go together. And I paused, I put it on the shelf. Many times we put stuff on the shelf and never go back. 3 months later, I'm at a graduation celebration. Never met this prophet before. He walks up to me, you don't know me. No, I don't. He said, God said, when are you gonna get the book out? Because it will bless others and it's the answer to what you've been praying and asking me for. Get it out. I turned and looked at him and I said, what? He said, God said, get the book out. Get it out now. The next day I said, God, if I'm supposed to write this book and finish it, then I need your help. He said, take the table of contents that I gave you and what you started writing on it. It goes together and I'll show you how to put it together. God is giving dreams in this room that we have yet to tap into. I know he has put dreams in me, and he told me this year, do what I told you to do, and don't play around. So this book talks about my entrepreneur's journey,
Walking afraid.
my faith, walking afraid, how I didn't let fear hold me back, but I kept going forward with God. And then the action plan, and I definitely want to share this with you, because the action plan is a 30-day journey to finding the courage to act. Join me. This is another one of my assignments. Join me December the 2nd and 3rd. The Courage to Act conference will be in Raleigh. We're just trying to get the location squared away. The Courage to Act conference. Some of y'all, you might see some familiar faces because I got to tap into some people today before I leave. This is going to push you into your purpose. This is going to push you to a whole nother level. God is not playing with us. He's saying, do it, get it done, move quickly. And got a bunch of other book projects going on. The Fight I was involved in, and The Ugly Truth About Leadership I was involved in. 50-yard dash, 50-yard line, women at the 50-yard line. It's not even up there, but that's another book I just contributed to, and it's out. Just a whole lot of things. Keep God first. Stay focused on him. Follow his principles in every business he has given you, every business idea. Ask God, what is it that you want me to do? Who am I to serve? And how can I be a blessing to somebody else? And when you do that, you will go to a whole nother level. You will be tested, but you will pass the test and know that it's necessary. Everybody don't talk this language, but I know God has put me in rooms to have the conversation that most people don't want to talk about. I am Carnella Renee Hill. I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, my sister. I knew she was gonna bring it, okay? I knew she was gonna bring it. I just kept wanting her to get to her book. All right, we're gonna take 5, okay? We're gonna take 5 because when we come back from break, and it's only gonna be 5. Now we're gonna use my clock,